Hey guys, it's Becky from Design Bundles, and I'm here today to talk to you about Father's Day. Now, Father's Day is right around the corner, and we are going to whip up a cute, easy, really simple card with basic supplies that you probably already have on hand. We're going to use cardstock, some types of adhesive, and just really show you the simplest way to whip out a cute project like this just in time for Father's Day. So let's get started.
Okay guys, so let's go ahead and talk about how to save and access your favorite items. So when I talk about a favorite item, when you come to the listing, you have the option to add to favorites in these two places here. Gives your designer a little heart and adds that to your favorite designs. Now, if I click that heart again, or I come up here to my account and go to favorites, then it will take me to all the designs that I have given that little heart to. So now I can easily come back and access it again, time and time over. Once I open the design back up and I hit add to cart, of course it's added to my cart, and I can hit checkout now. Now, once I come to the checkout, there's also this little area where you can choose Save for Later. That is located right under here for a design that maybe I don't need to check out with that right now, but I do want to remember that I need it for a project in the future. So I can do that, Save for Later. And once I have that, I can come down here if it's a file that I've already saved, and I can go back and add to order. So that part is completely up to you, but that is two really great ways to save those files that have really caught your eye. Now we are going to use this file today, so I'm going to continue to payment. And we will go ahead and use our store credit to check out. This is my confirmation page. I will download my product. Come over here to the right-hand side and click Download Files, and then choose on the zip folder, and it will download straight to my computer. Now, it's also important after you use a file to make sure that you come back in here and give your designer a rating. And this lets your designer know different things that you liked about the file, and these are also available for use by other crafters who might come in here to look at the ratings of a certain design or designer. And I can just simply type in, thanks for the file, it cut great and worked well for my project. If I could spell today, that would go a lot faster. And it leaves the rating here. Now, if for some reason I have downloaded a file and something is wrong or not working the way that I think it should, I can come here and I can message the designer. Now, you do want to do that before you leave the rating, because it may be something that the designer can help you with or something they're not aware of, and you can help them along the way and get your problem fixed at the same time. So here's where you would come and just type out a message to that designer. Now that I have downloaded my file, I can simply click on the folder. Remember that this is a zip folder and I cannot use these files straight from a zip folder. So what I'm going to do is up here, there's a button on Windows that I can extract all. And I'm going to extract that straight into my downloads folder. So when I go back to downloads, you will see that I have a Best Dad zip folder, and I also have a Best Dad regular folder. And in this regular folder is where I would be able to use these files straight into my software. Once I am back in Silhouette Studio, let's take a look at opening that design that we just purchased. I'm going to go to File and Open. Go back to my Downloads folder, click on the Best Dad folder, that's the one that I need, and I will open the SVG document. Now remember, if you are using the basic edition of Silhouette Studio, which is completely fine, you will need to focus on the DXF file, and that is the file that you will open and use. I'm going to go ahead and open the SVG file. And there we go. Now for this design, just like they had in the picture on the design bundles listing, I want to make this into a handmade card. So let's slide this over and let's talk about the best way to do that. First of all, I need to set up a shape to cut my card base. I'm going to come over here to the left and use my draw a rectangle. Any shape is fine because I'm going to come to my transform menu right here on the right hand side, and I'm going to open my scale. Now a handmade card, you're looking at a card that is going to be folded in half. We need to keep that in mind when we're setting the size of our rectangle. So I'm going to choose that it is 8.5 inches wide and 5.5 inches high. Okay, that may look a little strange, but if you notice where my crosshairs are, we are going to create a fold line right here in the middle. So with that being said, let's come over here to our line tools and we will draw a line right down the middle. Now, I know what you're thinking, that is not a fold line, that is a cut line, but if you come over to the right hand side, you can change your style and you can change it to a dashed line. And that's what's going to give us a fold line for our project. Now, it's also important to remember that you want these to be centered. So come back to your Align panel and choose this Center Alignment button, and then you can put them together by using the Group feature. So now Silhouette Studio will cut a square or a rectangle all the way around, and it will give me the dashed line for my fold line. And that is the base of my card. Next, I like to do a little layering. I always like it when my card bases have a little bit of a front layer, so I can draw my rectangle to fit, and then I can size down my design here to fit in there also. And you can make that as big or as small as you want, but that's what we're looking at. So let's zoom in and take a look at the different pieces. Now, depending on the color cardstock that you have on hand, you can absolutely grab some patterns from your stash and make this really awesome. What we are going to do is we are going to use patterns to fill this and do it as a print and cut file. So when I ungroup these, I can see that my black is down below my pocket, which is good because since we're going to be cutting this out of cardstock, we really want those to fit down in there and you can't see the seam between the two. If I move those out of the way, then we can take a look and ungroup. Oh, there we go. It is already ungrouped. So this will be a bottom layer. Okay, I can do that in any color, black, white, whatever contrast. And this is the one that I want to be filled with a pattern. Now I can do this two ways. I can fill this using the colors that are, or the patterns that are available in Silhouette Studio. I can pick any of these patterns and Silhouette will print and cut that for me. Okay, or if I'm not a fan of doing the print and cut, let me show you another way. Let's save this and we will move the rest of this design off to the side for now until we're ready for it. So I'm going to change this fill color to transparent and I'm going to change the line color to black so that we can see it and we can zoom back in a little bit. Now I want to draw a rectangle and make sure that it's large enough to incorporate my design. And then I can fill that with color or pattern. So let's see what pattern we like best. Remember, this is Father's Day, so we want it to be manly. And see how that covered up my design? When something like that happens, you can right click and just hit send to back. There we go. And now we can see our design again. So I can run through and I can pick whatever pattern I think will look the best. You can also import and use patterns that you already have. I like these concrete looking ones, I think. Maybe if your dad's a woodworker, you could do it with wood. It's completely up to you, whatever you decide. Now, once you decide that you like a pattern or don't like a pattern, you just select the one that you want. You can come down here to the advanced and you can change the angle that the pattern is at. And you can also, if you can see down here, there's a scale menu. So then I could zoom in and zoom out depending on how I want my pattern to fill my shape. So those are a couple options. This is a good feature when you just want to be able to print this pattern on cardstock and then cut it out with your silhouette without having to worry about doing it as a print and cut file. It's completely up to you. Now let's go ahead and set this file up for cutting. Now these are all going to be cut as individual pieces. So I can go ahead and fill these in with whatever color represents the color of my cardstock. I'm going to use a craft color base. Now I'm actually cutting my base out of chipboard because I want it to be nice and manly. And then I can select black. I'm going to leave that. And this can be whatever color is going to contrast really well. Let's go ahead and do black again. We will cut both of those as black. This right here, I can choose to do the chipboard, I can choose to do white cardstock, or a complementing pattern that is going to match my designs. When it's time to cut, I will click over to the send panel, and you will notice that only my square lights up in red. That's because these other are either not on the mat. This one, once it's on the mat, it lights up in red also. But these two over here are part of an SVG file that I imported. And for SVG files, you will want to come over here and change that to cut. So whatever color I decide to put on my cutting mat is what color I will put my designs on as well. It's also important, depending on the type of cardstock you have. For example, I will be working with letter size, so I want to change my page setup to fit letter size cardstock. That will make sure that my design is in fact on my cardstock and not off to the side. Now once I cut this in black, I can switch it out with another design and proceed. Just make sure that you come in here and change your material settings to match the color that you're using. If I wanted chipboard, or if I wanted cardstock, plain, textured, whichever one you're using. Once this design cuts out of black, I will go ahead and move it out of the way and select my next piece, load my next color into the Silhouette Cameo, and proceed to cut my next shape. Now, when I'm ready to print out this pattern to use with my card, I could do one of two things. Let me zoom in here so you can see best. When I click on my SVG file, see up here my line is set to a thickness of 1. If I change that to 0, it will leave my design where it is, and I can print, and the line thickness of 0 means that my design will not print on top of the pattern. If I want to leave it at the thickness of 1, I can simply click and move this off of the printable area. Okay, I'll leave it in place. Come back and select 0. Now when I go to print, I can print it straight to my printer as long as I have my cardstock already loaded in there. And then I can proceed to come over to my send panel, make sure my cut lines are turned on, and I can turn off the cut line for my rectangle because I don't actually need to cut the rectangle. I just want to cut the design. When I'm ready to cut, these are the 4 pieces that I need. My white, my pattern that I printed, my black, and this is my chipboard.
So let's get ready to cut. So this cut really well. I'm really impressed. I just want to be careful when I pop this off, because I don't want to rip anything. Okay, so there's my best dad pocket. I can use my scraper to get these details that are left on here. Now I'm ready to load my next sheet. And cut. All right, after we're done cutting, I have gathered all the pieces here as we pulled them off of the cutting mat. And I also have some adhesives here. These are my two favorites. You can also, in a pinch, use a hot glue gun if you need to, or if you have some double-sided tape, that works well also. This is a basic tape runner. It is filled with double-sided tape, and basically it's used in a lot of scrapbooking and paper crafts, and you just run it along your cardstock or paper and it lays the adhesive down. This is a two-way glue pen, and the reason that we would use this is for some of these smaller pieces that don't have the width for the tape runner. So we'll take a look at each one of those when it's time. So what I like to do, now this is our card base. Remember, we cut that, the dashed line, the perforated line down the side, and that gave us our fold line. Okay, that is the base of our card. And just to show you real quick, this is how the front mat is going to fit on there. So it just gives it a nice little border all the way around. So because we have that mat, we're going to set this off to the side and we will assemble our mat first. So this is the main portion, correct? But this is the mat that is going to fit underneath. And you can turn those over and you can see it's just a tiny bit smaller than the print and cut portion. So we are going to go ahead and use our tape runner on here, and I will just run it along the outside edges. There we go. And now I can just line this up and adhere it into place. So now you can see it's one piece. Okay. When I get ready, I want to go ahead and arrange my tools. So let's see, this one should go about here. We have our screwdriver and our wrench. And it kind of gives you the hints, because see how these are cut at an angle, that they'll fit in like this. So I want to turn this over, and what I'm going to do is I will use my glue pen and just color. This works similar to a whiteout pen. You just want to give it a little bit of squeeze and the glue will write out onto your cardstock. So I can turn these over. I also like that the glue pen gives me time to reposition these if I want to. As a matter of fact, I colored that on the wrong side. I'm just not a fan of where that's positioned, so we will put it right there. Okay, so let's see how we feel. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm happy with how that turned out.
So now what I'll do is I will come back with my tape runner and go all around the outside again. And I can put this anywhere I want, but I do want to try to make sure that it is centered at least a little bit. Okay, now if I wanted to, I could adhere these pieces down, and I think I will, only because my cardstock has a little bit of curve to it, and I don't want those pieces to come loose. So all I'm doing is adding just a tiny bit of glue. Okay, just enough for them to be adhered down. Okay, now for the card itself, this is also really easy because now I can switch this over and use my tape runner all the way around the outside. Now, if I was using a hot glue gun, because I said you could do that, I've done it, you can, but you do have to make sure that you're not really adding a whole lot on there, because your hot glue is a thicker glue and it will give everything kind of a funny look. Okay, so there we go. That is literally the end all of our card. It is absolutely adorable. I really like it a lot, and I will be able to write in here any type of sentiment that I want. There's enough room if I want to let my kids draw some pictures, that sort of thing. And if I wanted to, if I really wanted to make it special, see how this is matted out, remember that we did that, you can do that again here and add a couple layers of thickness to this side. And in case you are in the market for selling handmade cards, because that is something I used to do, don't forget that you can apply your logo down here. You can get a stamp, maybe some printable labels, something along those lines. Or even if you're just giving them away, you can add a simple handmade by Becky or something, you know, handmade with love, or Father's Day 2020, whatever you want to do. So I really love making handmade cards. They come out a lot more personal than if I were just to go buy one at the store. And in reality, this only took us, I would say, no longer than 15 minutes start to finish. So really cute, really simple.
I hope you're as happy as I am with how this card turned out. It is just so cute and easy. I couldn't pass it up. And having the chipboard along with the manly pattern, it really gives the card a more masculine feel without taking away from the fact that it is a beautiful and thoughtful handmade card. So thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And of course, please check out more videos from the Design Bundles channel, as we will be bringing you more inspiration in the future. Thank you.